All right. Well, shalom to everybody. Greetings to you tonight. Wow, what a wacky world we live in. How amazing it is on every level. Wonderful and yet uh, very difficult sometimes. And so it's quite amazing to be able to see that there were other situations uh, in the past of spiritual people. You know, we have a lot of I guess I want to almost say liberal mindsets that are part of this society, and sometimes it seems to make it really difficult for people to be able to discern uh, truths that have been very evident. Many of those are in the Bible. They're truths that weren't understood in Christianity, and really they probably couldn't be because they were spiritual and seem to be missed by many people that are seeking the spiritual realm. And so one of the things that really came to my mind was her statement last week about the fact that Yeshua knew he was going to leave because basically he had helped all the people that he could help. The ones that wanted to listen listened, and the ones that didn't want to listen weren't going to listen no matter what he did. And I hate to say it, but sometimes I really feel like that, a lot more so. So for me, it may have been a much heavier word than maybe it is for some of you. But it just is, man. You know, people want to help people, and yet, really, quite honestly, we can only be a support. A person has to help themselves. And if they deny or choose to not accept the truth, then there's nothing you can do to help that. And so we'll see where he carried from this. Her vision affected her a lot, massively actually. And Yeshua tells her, I've done all I can do. I'm done here. Wow, as you can tell, I still haven't gotten over that. That's infinitely larger than most people have a clue of. Because he really answers a lot of questions if you're a person that asks questions. And some of those questions are in varied forms and stuff, but how far do we go with somebody? That's a question that you should ask yourself. That's a question you should ask your spirit guides and your higher self. So we're gonna pick up where we left off last week, which is right in the middle of this concept that we were talking about. She had just made that comment, or Yeshua had made that comment. And so let me just step back here. He says he could go no further, and the handful, listen at this, and the handful that accepted the truth of life would endure. But there was so much darkness that he was needed on other levels to continue his work. Now, dear friend, if you feel like you're overwhelmed by the darkness, don't be surprised. So was he. And he says, okay, there's just so much evil here. Well, things haven't gotten any better. In most accounts, they've gotten infinitely worse. So if you're in the middle of a spiritual battle with everyone around you and they all tell you that it's all your fault and you're the bad guy and yada, 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 don't be surprised. It doesn't mean it's true. It just simply means that that's their perception. See, the problem is that right and wrong both have perceptions. And wrong believes they're right no matter what you say to them. They're not going to change. And right knows in their inner self that they are walking the path, and that's why they're being attacked. Don't forget those things. Some of you need that. Some of you need that comfort that I know that I am tracking true, and just because other people refuse it doesn't mean that my truth is wrong. And that's exactly what Yeshua is saying here. So this is irrelevant, just in case you guys didn't know. Nothing happens by coincidence. We're not here accidentally. Actually, probably everything going on in your life around you is being spoken to by what these words are. If you choose not to listen to that, that's your fault. But it's here. It's very obvious why this is happening now. And so then it came as no surprise to him that you had seen this. Abigail says, no. He listened and understood and accepted what came from my heart. He told me to walk in love and follow the path of light. I am telling you today, although it's not always easy and we're not perfect about dissociating ourselves and many things, we have lots of work to do, friends. But I would love to give those words to you. Keep walking in love and follow the path of light. If you fail, fall down, skin your knee, get back up, forgive yourself, do what you can do to make amends, and continue walking. And struggle against fear, because that's exactly what people use. It's part of the whole narcissistic syndrome. If I make you scared that I'm going to leave, then I gain control over you. There should be no fear, for fear creates the darkness that is in man. So 90% of this darkness Yeshua was talking about was actually dealing with the fear that lives inside of us. And friends, we're in a fearful society. So there should be no fear, for fear creates the darkness in man. The only truth is love and light. And you say, yeah, but something didn't resonate, or something did this, or something did that. So, and I know that maybe I'm one of the only people who has the desire to tell people the truth. But friends, you're going to encounter thousands of people who tell you you're full of crap, and these words of truth don't resonate with them. Let it go. They may never be, or maybe someday they will be. Neither one of those two has anything to do with you. Recognize that they're not, and move away from them and continue on your journey. It really is. We let these people bump into us, and they suck our energy, they take our resources, they ask us to give, and they give nothing back, and then we come away with nothing but shame. Because I had a true feeling that was honest, and it affected me. Wow. We should have millions of those every day. The problem isn't having them. The problem is learning how to deal with them properly. Okay, that's the hard part. Some of you have been brainwashed into believing that you somehow, if you're enlightened, you're never going to have any issues. That's bull crap. Anybody that tells you that is lying to you, friend. Anybody that tells you speaking the truth is negative is lying to you. Don't listen to them. Because to be quite honest with you, after what I just read to you that Yeshua said, in today's modern society, people would have called Yeshua as being negative. Well, you're being negative. Not all people are bad. And he's like, look, did I ask you if you agreed with my words? I spoke my truth to you, and you don't like it, and all that is a sign. The people that like truth will hear me, and the ones that don't want to argue with you. You got to let it go. So here's something I've been trying. It works, but it's not like taking a laxative. That is to say, it doesn't flush you out quickly. Okay? You have to deal with yourself. And it's like, I wish I hadn't have said that. It was true. Yes, it was. But I wish I hadn't said it. And so we're on a journey, and it is a hard journey, friends. I don't know who's lying to all these people that you're somehow going to just float through life. It's a battle just to flow. Because everything wants to drag you out of the flow. You find a time of flow, you feel good, life is going good, and what's going to happen? First thing that's going to happen is somebody who is insignificant in your life causes trouble in your life and screws your flow up. And then what do you have to do? You have to reset, you have to rethink, you have to re-forgive, you have to re-go over, you have to rehash what's happened to your life that makes you like you are, only to get back to the place of flow. And so think about that. Think about, why are there people out there who are helping people in many different ways to help them free themselves from the psychic robbers? In a lot of cases, I hate to tell you this, but they're spouses and family members who are draining your energy. You say, well, you're one of them. The fact that you could say that without any thought would prove that you're one of those people. See, when you say something and you know inside of you that it's true, watch for people's reaction. That's one of the things that a spiritual person, because we can glean a lot from who somebody is, whoever the person we're talking to. How do they respond? So, Yeshua recognized. How did he respond? He didn't say, oh, well, Dave, that would be negative if I said that there was darkness in people. But that's what they would say to him today. He didn't say it was negative. He said, this is the truth. And I don't care if you don't like it. I'm leaving because of you. That's a different animal than what is being taught. But fear is the basis of all of it. And so even in the middle of our trying to get to a place, to an equilibrium of getting in the flow, folks, one of the main things that we have to battle is fear, our own. Fears of whatever the thing is, whatever you were manipulated in by family members, by spouses, by co-workers, by, strangers you met in a bar, whatever was programmed into you that causes you to fear. In some cases, there's a lot of people that are being programmed by this no king thing that's out there. Those people don't know, come here from Sikkim about nothing. They're following what everybody else is telling them. And I'm telling you, they're not. There may be a few that are stupid enough to be in power, but most of those people are lashing out because of their fear. And so that's really important. Many people who don't say much live in fear. Many people who say much live in fear. And so Dolores says, all of this emotion was difficult for me also, just listening to this. I am really glad that you told him so he would know how you felt. Did you also tell him about your love for Abram? Abigail says yes, but when I saw him again, I was filled with so much clarity and so much purpose that I knew what I was supposed to do even before I said anything. But he understood, and he had to allow me to experience those feelings. So did he tell her not to have them? Did he tell her to wash them away? No. He allowed her to have them. So everyone who, dissociation and having feelings are two different things. To dissociate, you must truly first have feelings. So all of the feelingless, empty, cold-hearted people who never show any feelings are just liars, because they have them and they just refuse to show them. Okay? All of us have feelings, friends. Every one of us. All day long. Happy, sad, scared, mad. But they're all feeling. That's not the question. The question is what are we doing with those? And if you think that somehow you're the perfect one, then you're the first one that is of a concern. We all have them. All of us deal with them right sometimes, and sometimes we deal with them wrong. Sometimes we get fed up to here and we blow a gasket. What did we do next? See, the journey and the progression of walking in peace doesn't mean that it's 100% peaceful. It means, what do you do after? And you could ask yourself that 1,000 times. What did you do after? What did you do after? Did you apologize for your bad behavior, even if you've convinced yourself you had none? No. Then that's what you did. It's funny, I was thinking the Spirit brought to my mind a thought process earlier today, and the brother of Yeshua, Yaakov, who in the Bible is called James, and he said, and so friends, this is a bombshell of healing or it's a bombshell of condemnation, depending on who you are. I don't know who you are, so I can't answer. You're supposed to answer that for yourself anyway. That's the one that matters. James says that you will not be forgiven unless you forgive the people that you've trespassed against. Yeshua said that. James says that you cannot find healing unless you confess your faults one to another. Well, here's what we see in our society. If you're a narcissist, you have no faults. Do you know that those people who refuse to be kind and repent of their wrong behaviors are also the people that will argue with you the most and make you the most guilty? That's what narcissism is. I'm not wrong, you are. 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 Many of you know them very well. And that isn't the same thing as somebody who is right and correcting you and you refuse to accept it. That's a whole nother category. You see, there's a lot to walking in truth. And the place that James says it starts for us to receive healing, and I'm focusing here on the healing part because that word that James gave us says that confessing our faults, and I thought about that. I asked my grandmother one time what she meant about that. She preached in a church and was with my grandfather for over 40 years, so she knew a little bit. She was very proud of her, whatever it was, 14 times she had read the whole Bible through, but didn't understand what it meant. So she said, yes, but if you tell people the truth, then they'll use it against you. And so Source shared a little insight with me that maybe I can share with you. If you view that picture as you're supposed to go around telling everyone about all of your failings, there's a whole class of people, they call them submissives, who do that now. Okay? That's not the plan. The plan is when you make a failing with someone that you acknowledge that failing with that person. The confess your faults one to another says, and listen, James says one to another. Is that a one-sided way or is that a two-sided way? Here's what you see mostly happens probably in your life. It certainly does in mine. It's one-sided. I apologize, and that's the end of it. The truth is that proves the hand of Source on the person who does, and it proves the hand off of the ones who don't. He says there is no opportunity for you to heal. He's not talking about physical healing, friend. He's talking about spiritual healing. Remember, James was the brother of the mystic Yeshua. Do you really think he was a Christian? It's really ludicrous because we were so inundated with those things. No, the deal is Yeshua actually said the same thing. And he said when you have erred with somebody or when something has gone awry, that you are to go and make it right with them before that day is over with. Do you know how many people have never done that to me and walk around and think that they're okay? I try to actively make sure that I don't do the same. My encouragement to you isn't to toot my horn. My encouragement to you is that you make that a priority in your life, friend, because whether or not they receive their healing has nothing to do with whether or not you receive your healing. I'm here talking to whoever is here that hears in their spirit the truth that I'm sharing tonight. It ain't about them. Forgiveness isn't for the other person. Forgiveness is for you. And if you don't forgive, you curse yourself. Nobody else did it. You did. And that's really hard. The problem is usually when you do that, you forgive people, and guess what? If you have to be around them, you know what they usually do? They do the same crap over and over again. And it's very difficult to continue to stay in the flow and have that going on. It just seems like we get inundated with that negative spirit. And so it will affect you. It will affect your journey. That's why I'm talking about it. It's not because it's not important, because it's extremely important. And so all this emotion was difficult for me. I love that Dolores brought that out. Emotion isn't bad, but it's also not always good, and it's not always easy. And Abigail says, yes, but when I saw him again, I was filled with so much clarity and so much purpose that I knew what I was supposed to do even before I said anything. But he understood, and he had to allow me to experience those feelings. Why? Because Source has given you free will and will not force you to do anything. If you want to do wrong and bad and hurt yourself, Source openly allows that. The earth is full of it. That's the darkness he's talking about. And so I said anything, but he understood, and I love this again. I know I'm kind of bouncing over, but man, some of these words every one of them are like a months-long journey for me. Okay? He had to allow, so Yeshua, let's get this. So Yeshua had to allow her to experience those feelings. He didn't have the power, and this is one of the things I'm watching, and I think it will change some people's lives. You have to allow people to be what people are, and if you don't like it, change timelines where they're not in your timeline. If they're uncomfortable to you, if they cause you to sin, which is exactly what the Bible said. If a person causes you to sin, separate yourself from them. And it doesn't care whether it's your family or a stranger. It's what they do to you. You say, well, they affect me, not me affect them. That's a dead giveaway, guys. Nothing is one-sided. Everything is two-sided. Remember? Right. Thank you, Dave. An end on each side. So, I think that we have to recognize that. Just as we have to be allowed, are there people in your life that are not allowing you to be you? It's very possible. Are there people in your life who don't want you to be you? Very possible. Yeshua says, I will let you be you, even if it hurts you. I don't want you to be hurt, but if that's what you choose. But he understood, and he had to allow me. Next sentence. For mine was a dedication that would continue to grow as long as I accepted my test and I was honest. Friends, that right there is one of the largest mouthfuls of words that there is. Now, I know that every one of us say, oh, I've accepted my test and I'm always honest. Well, I think you need to be really careful. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have that. I'm simply saying that you better make damn sure that that's the truth. Pardon me, but it's that critical. Because that other person on the other side honestly believes that they are too. Somebody isn't. And what my concern is for all of us as we go on in this journey, because we're going to encounter people who call themselves spiritual, who are not true, and we're going to encounter Christians who are the most blessed hearts, and we're going to encounter Christians who are also not true, and sinners who are also not true. So this is going to affect every area of our life. Everywhere we go, work, home, pleasure, everywhere. And so let's look at this and see if what I've been telling you is tracking. All right. But he understood, and he had to allow me to experience those feelings. For mine was a dedication that would continue to grow as long. So, see, even the growth stops when you quit accepting the test. Why is it important? Why do I constantly harp on you need to look for the test, you need to desire the test, you need to want the test? Because the minute that you quit accepting the test, you quit growing. Most people are not growing very much because they don't want the test. What is the test? I had many tests today. I would say most of them I passed. Some of them I didn't. I didn't let any of them go. I recognized every one of them had a significance. Just because I failed it doesn't mean that I didn't recognize it. For mine was dedication that would continue to grow as long as I accepted my test and I was honest. 2 prerequisites for you to continue growing. If you feel like you're in a dull spot in your spiritual growth, there's 2 elements. Yeshua liked 2 a lot. But there's two elements that you could check on. One is, are you accepting the tests that come into your life in the proper manner? Some people accept them, but they're not accepting them in the proper manner. Well, you need to learn. If you don't know what that is, you ought to learn what the proper manner is. That's what studying and reading is all about. And then, I must be honest. Was I really just playing the rhetoric so that I'm not guilty? Because, friends, you can make yourself unguilty. Look at what the Democrats have done. They still won't accept responsibility for a no president for 4 years. And if you ask them, they'll tell you you're the one that's wrong. Does that mean it's true? So there is also for us, as being light workers, as being spirit people, there is also something that helps flush some fear out and helps to guide when we truly are honest with ourselves. Well, I did kind of fail there. Okay, so you failed. I'm sure Source will bring that test right around to you. We used to call it in Christianity, you can go around the mountain all the times you want to. The mountain is the test, friends. It's no different. And so, but that stops and impedes our growing. So if you really wanted to truly be a light worker, one of the statements you could make is that I will accept my test and I will be honest. If I failed, I need to be honest about that. That's why James says, confess your faults one to another. Not to everyone, but to the person on whom you failed. He said, it was all right to change my path. Say what? So you mean timelines aren't fixed? He said, it was all right for me to change my path as long as it was done in love and truth. Wow. That ought to explode your brain. Because now we have two other requirements. Love. And the second one is just like the second one, truth. Truth and honesty are co-workers. So what if I change my path and I don't do it with love and I don't do it with truth? I just concocted in my brain that I'm tired of being around this person and I don't like them and I don't want to be around them, and so I choose to change my timeline. Have I accomplished it? No, you've just hurt yourself. Because that person might have been the person put here to bring the test to you, and you refused to take the test. I mean, these things are huge. They seem maybe simple to you guys, but they're huge. Simple little words. How did Yeshua heal us? By opening his mouth and the water that flowed out of his mouth, which is word. He said it was all right to change my path as long as it was done in love and truth. So he needed me to experience every emotion. So for all of you who say that we should not have any emotions, and when we show emotions, we're being negative, and that stuff is so sick it ain't even funny. I'm sure Elon will put a Neuralink in there that will kill all of your emotional facets so you can't have any of them. But other than that, friends, humans have them. It's not about not having them. It's about experiencing them, recognize them, and then deal with them in the proper manner. And then if I choose not to accept that other path, this was part of my initiation. But it took all of it to bring us to that place. Many people have not even been initiated to an awakening. They're hearing pieces. They still want to deceive. They still want to do things. They can use pieces to throw at you as ammunition, which is 9 out of 10 times. You have no clue how many times I've told people, well, first off, the context in which you just said that statement, you have no clue it's even wrong. Even the context wasn't right. I know your heart wasn't. I try to not say that part, but it's a pretty dead giveaway. Dolores says, so he is still leaving it up to you to decide, isn't he? Yes, ma'am, he is. I've made the decision. It was made in my own heart and mind before it was ever formed into words. At that moment when we first met and talked, so I have made my moment when we first met and talked, so I have made my decision, and I will walk with him or stay. I only ask to be of service, so that I, too, may ascend and rekindle my connection and growth on the next level. Do you see the beauty of that? Friends, it's really, in some ways, it's gotten much easier. We spend way too much of our time struggling with things that we have zero power to change, and the things that we can change, which are our decisions and thoughts, we leave to somebody else most of the time. And so Dolores asked, does he tell you what his plans are for you? Abigail says, I was told that I should stay at the village, and if I have faith and true sensitivity. So here again, Yeshua is tearing up everything that's modern day mysticism. It's really crazy. Oh, well, you have to be overly super sensitive. Why? Because only super sensitive people sense the disease. And true sensitivity, then it will become very clear where I am needed next. The supersensitivity typically is tied to our connection with higher self. You don't listen to your intuition. Sometimes your intuition is confused for people. Some people believe that their thoughts are intuition, and thoughts are not intuition. And intuition is not thoughts. An intuition comes and you don't need somebody to explain. You know what was said. Thoughts are what you concocted in your mind. And so then Dolores asks, then at this time he doesn't want you to go with him. Abigail says, no, I feel very strong. I feel very good about my decision. I needed his counsel, for I needed to gain clarity. And I needed to know that my visions and my feelings were of love and light and not of the darkness. So what is she doing? She's proving her honesty, and she's proving her love and truth. You see, how she handled them brought from the universe the answer that she knew needed to go forward peacefully. Look, he gave me that assurance. Uh-oh, here it is again. Now he's really going to cram you up, because now he takes both of the twos and he puts them together and makes two twos. Dig this. He gave me that assurance that as long as I seek the truth and be honest, then the fear in the darkness will never gain control of me. I have to do two things to keep fear and darkness from gaining control of me. I don't need to pray. I don't need to speak in tongues. I don't need to read the Bible. I only need to do two things. I need to seek the truth. I am a truth seeker. I want the truth. If it tells me that the sky is yellow and we have been lied to, then for me, the sky will always be yellow. I seek the truth and be honest. Two things you are obligated to do if you choose to ascend to the next level. If not, you'll get to come back to the same level again. See, do you guys understand that? It's not heaven. There are levels of existence. And you have to come to a certain place and pass the tests that are given to you to go to the next level. I don't know if any of you have seen or studied Edgar Cayce at all. Edgar Cayce talks about the levels, and he also talks about what happens there. So these aren't fake things. This girl isn't concocting this. I'm pretty sure she never sat with Edgar Cayce while he was giving a reading in a trance. So Yeshua says, he gave me that assurance that as long I'm trying I'm desirous to give this to you. This assurance to you today, no matter where you're at. It doesn't make any difference whether you're high ascended or whether you're low, deep, heavy vibration. All of us have the power to change if we choose to. And so look at this. He gave me that assurance that as long as I seek the truth. Ask yourself, are you really seeking the truth? And then answer yourself honestly. And be honest. Be honest with who? Is he just saying a general thing, Dave, that I shouldn't go out and I shouldn't tell a lie? Or is he telling me that I have to seek the truth and be honest when I find the truth? Be honest. How does that make you feel? Well, I don't like it. Tells me half of my life has been a waste. But I still have to accept it with honesty and that it's the truth. And how I do that will determine what happens. This is a form, Yeshua is teaching spiritual manifestation. Okay? Many people out there in the New Age movement, there's lots of people becoming millionaires off of manifestation. And I've been trying to figure out, are they sitting there going into psychic trance to make themselves a millionaire? And that's why it's manifesting? Should they not care a thing about the truth and they just worry about manifesting millions and then they tell you whatever they tell you? Or is it really not like that at all? So Dolores says these are very important emotions, very important feelings. I think it's good that you are coming to terms with all of these, but this will also mean that you will continue to have contact with Abram. Abigail says, yes, but it will be much easier now, for I know my mission. I know that much of my purpose is to continue to learn, to heal, and to ease the pain of suffering. I will go again to the village of the lepers, of the diseased. I will have strength. I will be healthy, for I am meant to help ease the burden and the pain of the diseased and the desperately need and I must work with the orphans that desperately need my love. These are purposes of truth, love, and light, and these are mine. Wow. So that is the closest I've ever heard a human make a connection with Yeshua's teaching that your only purpose for being on the earth is to serve people, even the people who hate you. Wow. So Dolores then asked, can the followers of the Nazarene go on their own journeys? Abigail says, we usually go in groups. It would be rare for someone to travel a distance on their own, which is exactly why he says in the Bible that he sent them out 2 by 2. If you fall and break your ankle, you probably need somebody to help you along the way. Then you mean that you and some others will go back to that same village of the lepers without the Nazarene? Abigail says, I feel there will be very few. Her voice broke and she began to cry. Contacts I will have with the Nazarene in the physical presence, but he promised there will always be contact. What an assurance that we can make ourselves ready of, friend. You know why most people don't have any spiritual connection? Because they're not connected. If you have a fan and you don't plug the fan in, the fan sits there and it's still a fan. But until you plug in, it serves no purpose at all except to take space up. Many humans living in this life right now have no reason. They make purposes for themselves. Oh, well, I have to be this, or I have to fit this paradigm, or I have to do this because the society has told me that that's what I should do. If society's your God, then you should do what society tells you to do. The true Creator tells us that our purpose for all humans is to come here and serve other people. So her response is, she says, I feel there will be very few. Her voice broke and she began to cry. Contacts I will have with the Nazarene in the physical presence, but he promised there will always be contact. Our spirit sources, friends, are ever-present help in our time of trouble. The Bible said it, but we don't live by it. We don't benefit from it. We don't recognize it. We don't believe it. Because remember, you have to take this into account. Everything that ever has come from spirit realm comes from spirit realm based on your belief. You can say the words and not believe the words, and you're not functioning in love or truth. And guess what happens? Nothing happens. That's why you don't see healings in churches. I'm thankful I have gotten to see. I have prayed for people and seen things happen, but that's few and far between. And so, is that one of the things he wants you to do, to keep returning to these places even without him and to carry on the work that he started? Abigail says, he did not say this. This is something that I feel will be mine to do down the road. Functioning from a place of love and truth and honesty would bring someone to the place of walking that journey. I feel that this is one of the things that will become clear. And as he said, I will know my path and my purpose as it unfolds. I feel strongly that this will come about. Do you know what? For her, she will know her strength and she will know her purpose. Why? Because she believes that she will. She's listening for the spirit realm to give her a download about what her strength and purpose is. And I promise you, you could get that girl drunk and talk to her for 2 days and you ain't going to get her to change her mind. That's how it is when people get downloads from the supreme source, friends. It doesn't matter what you say. You can tell me I'm wrong for the next 1,000 years and I care less. I know what source told me. That's exactly what she's exhibiting. Do you have any fear of contracting this disease from these people? Abigail, no. I've been there before. I feel that if you do not live in fear, then you will keep yourself healthy in mind, body, and soul. What did you hear on Saturday from As a Man Thinketh? When your mind is corrupt, your body is too. She says, I'm not worried about it. Why are you worried about me getting sick for going there? I've already been there and touched them and healed them, and which is really infinitely a larger message than the message of trying to get you to believe in supernatural miracles that happened over in Jerusalem. See, why wouldn't they tell us about a kind, loving God that simply doesn't heal everybody, but he simply touches people and gives them love, and they're changed even if their sickness is still present? It's a good question. I'm going to read this again just because it's important. All of this is important. No, I have been there before. I feel that if you do not live in fear, then you will keep yourself healthy in mind, body, and soul. Fear creates all diseases and ailments, whether one is aware of that or not. And you know what? You can have a different truth, and it ain't going to change what she said. We cause the sickness that comes on us. Now, we've been robbed, and it's very beneficial to the pharmaceutical company, and it's very beneficial. So don't think these guys haven't been in touch with religious folks over the thousands of years. It's very prosperous to sell pharmaceuticals. That's why the Bible speaks against, in a very blasphemous way, against pharmacoa. Why? Because they had people peddling pharmaceuticals way back then. Here, let me give you some of this dope, and so they give you some pure heroin, and now you're a junkie and you die from heroin. Thank you. You really helped me. They're doing the same thing now with fentanyl. So fear creates all diseases and ailments, whether one is aware of this or not. That's an interesting idea. Is this what he taught you, that fear creates diseases? Abigail responds, yes. There are many times in my younger years in my father's village when I would sneak out to attend the closed meetings, and I gained his knowledge. This is of his teachings. That your spiritual state controls your physical state. As within, so without. Right now I'm just reveling because it never goes away, friend. Somebody acts one way to you, good, bad, or indifferent, and that's only going to be your interpretation of what good, bad, and indifferent is. She answers, yes. There were many times in my younger years in my father's village when I would sneak out to attend the closed meetings, and I gained this knowledge. This is part of his teaching. They didn't want you to know that in Christianity. And of course, we always think that some diseases can't be avoided. He doesn't believe this way. She says, no. I say, though, that one must be here you go. Thank you. Today is truly a blessed day. For any struggle, it was well worth it to get to this point. Look at this statement, man. Abigail responds, no, I say, though, that one must be a believer in source within one's being. This is not in your head you think there might be a God. So I know that we hear so many cliches and people use cliche stuff so corruptly many times. Very few people are able to discern, and when they do discern, typically they don't even bother to inform themselves. But you must believe inside of you that source is within one's being. That is one's God center. Him in you. That is one's heart center. If one lives without fear, one has placed a great healing protection throughout one's physical being and other layers of protection around the human person. If you let fear or darkness enter your being, which is why we saw on Saturday that corruption and pollution will always be present as long as there's not any purity. And so, if you let fear and darkness enter your being, you are opened up to a space that will allow ailments to grow. One can control any disease of the mind or body. Wow. That's pretty heavy, folks. I don't know about y'all, but that's pretty heavy. It makes me go, man, we've missed the mark some. We need to find out what it is. Where is this power exists that this little old girl that's 13 years old is exhibiting, and yet they are the truths of the ages. Do you think this is one of the ways he is able to heal people? And I'm going to close after this one because we probably will reread it again next week. But I want you guys to hear this response about healing. I think it could benefit all of us. Friends, all of us are broken. All of us have failings. All of us don't do in honesty all that we should. We don't do in love all that we should. All of us. Every single one of us. Not you any less than me and not me any less than you. We're all the same. We all have the same anomalies. He had to come and be a human because he needed to have these pains and these hurts that he dealt with. And so she says, yes, for those people that have come to him and asked to be healed, have created a healing path in their own heart. So in other words, they went there with a belief that there was healing. And their minds. It is just connecting with his energy. Why is all the talk about energies and chakras, and why is all the talk about vibrations and moving? And most people don't believe this stuff, so I get it. It's okay. I mean, you're not going to go to hell just because you don't believe. So it was the connecting with his energy, because they have already set up their belief of trust. So why can't people receive the things from him? Because they don't believe him. The Bible's very clear about that. I taught it for 25 years, even in a Christian context. It's 100% the same message as I'm reading to you today. I wasn't telling people a false truth out of the Bible. I was telling them truth that they've never known. Then they have already set up, because they have already set up their belief of trust, then they have eliminated the fear and the darkness which enables them to accept the healing. So even though the Nazarene has the power to heal, the person who is ailing has to have within himself his own power to release his fears and the disease of his flesh. You must have within you the belief. That's the deal. Anything less than that, and you will receive no healing. Or if they are not meant to be healed or continue on with this life, they will find it a very easy transition to ascend in true peace and love, and they will go on to the next existence. So there's another thought process that you've never thought of. There are people who it was never part of the package deal for them to be healed. And some of that, I believe, comes with karma, because some of the things that we do, the ills that our body has them because of our low consciousness. Now, I'd like to think about this for a second. I could have put it on my phone, but I dare say if you don't know what the word consciousness means, you probably need to look it up for yourself, or it won't mean anything. But the concept of consciousness means that you are conscious. And if you know then what the understanding of what it means to be conscious, then you can find inside of yourself consciousness. The using of the concept of conscious. And so when you're conscious, you're present. Many of the things that we all do, and it's going to take a time to get those things mixed. And so if you're working and focusing and paying attention, wonderful, continue. It'll bless you. But being conscious is an active act of your will. I am conscious today because I choose to be conscious. I could not be conscious and walk around like a zombie like everybody else. Or I can think about the things that I don't think about, which is a very large part of the awakening. What does the awakening mean? It means that people awaken to things that they were asleep to. You used to treat people like this and you didn't recognize it, and now all of a sudden, poof, it hits you in the face and you go, wow, I can't believe I did that all that time. We should all have many of those wake-up calls. We start thinking about other people. So, if we desire healing, to whatever level that is. Is it possible for someone to not be healed physically and to be healed spiritually and mentally? Absolutely. In fact, I would say if you had to pick between spirit and physical, pick spiritual. You get your spiritual right, and it won't matter about the body. You also, part of that is you'll recognize that it doesn't matter about the body. You know, it doesn't matter. If that's where the universe takes me, is that today is my last day, then I want to go. If you believe there's coincidence, then you might have that car wreck coincidentally. I don't believe in coincidence. I think everything happens for a reason. I encountered things today, and those weren't accidents. Those happened for a purpose. I don't even necessarily always know what source wants to find out, but in time I will if I understand that it wasn't insignificant. So when you have things that are bad come into your life and you have to deal with them, that's your test. How am I going to act with this? Am I going to be what? Am I going to try to function in love, and am I going to be honest and truthful? Do you know sometimes that being truthful is being very mean to people? Do you know sometimes the most profound truths are the truths that put us off the most? That's why Yeshua said, I don't speak anything but truth, and I didn't come to make you feel good. He himself said that. I will trouble you by telling you the truth. And then somebody stands in front of you and tells you the truth, and you're troubled, and you can't quite figure it out. Maybe maybe the fact that you're troubled should cause you to look inside yourself. Maybe you would find the answer, and nobody would have to tell you. And then you could fulfill the rest, and you could take that and go back and confess your faults to the person that you told that they were wrong. Like, I'm sorrowful. What you said to me a week ago really rocked my world. And I want you to know that you telling me the truth helped me to grow. How many times have you ever seen that in your life? How many times have you ever done that in your life? It's not a one-way road, friends. You have to give just like to receive. And you have to receive to give. Always the two ends. I hope you guys have gotten something out of this. It's beautiful, it's wonderful, it's amazing. It's very deep. This is not at all what I expected. Mary Ann said this book is infinitely better than the first one, and I didn't think that that was true. But I got to tell you, boy, the doctrines that are coming out of this thing 100% match with what he taught. It really, for me, and I hope it is for you, because I love when people get the light. But turning on, I had somebody that accused me of, they thought I heard from God. So who cares what you thought? You don't have to believe that I hear from God. If I hear from him, I hear from him. Do you really think I'm hung up on you telling me I didn't hear from God? But see how oftentimes that's some of those pieces that I'm talking about, where there are spirit suckers that they will come, Bubba, and they're like a sucker fish. They know how to hook on you. They know your triggers better than you do. Every one of you know that I'm right. That's the beauty of the lesson. When they come, we got to recognize them. But I'm going to tell you, really, that's all absolutely necessary. But really, the greatest blessing in the whole thing is little by little, you'll have those failures and you'll go, dang it. It's okay. Be kind to yourself. Recognize, acknowledge that you messed up. I missed it. There was a test and I missed it. And go on. Life didn't end. You're going to make many more of them. I promise you made a lot more than that one before you got here. So give yourself a break. And if we would all do that, we would all be giving ourselves a break. And because we're learning how to love our neighbors as ourselves, if we give ourselves a break, don't you think that the fulfillment of the golden rule is that I will give everybody else a break too? Does that mean that it changed your emotions? No. Does it mean that it changed, that they did something that was offensive and you told them that you were offensive? And in our society, they'll tell you that you're the bad guy. But of course, they tell you that they don't know the difference between a boy and a girl. So where the hell did their words come from or have any value? It doesn't have any value. Stupidity is easy to see if you'll open your eyes and be conscious. You go, well, that was stupid. I don't need to talk to you. I'm going to keep cruising. And so there really is a whole bunch of the stuff that Paul tells us. Paul tells us that we are to follow after peace and pursue it. That didn't mean he encountered lots of conflict, friends. And Paul was a pistol. I guarantee you, you listen to him talking, he was blowing people's minds with the words that was coming out of his self. So not saying anything doesn't make you a saint, and somebody telling you the truth you don't want to hear does not make them the devil. I've had to encounter that many times. But see, that's where we get into this whole thing. Don't we have to discern what truth is before we know what truth is? I mean, is it just so rampant and arrogant that you can walk around and pick a piece of truth up off the ground? Or is that something that has to be desired? See, if you only live in a material world, and many people do, so if you're one, I'm not condemning you. I'm just speaking to some other people. I'm speaking to some people who don't want to stay carnal. They want to become something other than what they are. I have a desire to meet and help those people who want to change, not the ones that don't. It's not that I don't care about them, but I can't help them. If Jesus couldn't help them, I can't. I mean, you know, now that I've shown that to you, that actually should be your thought process. But I guarantee you the ones that do want to change and the ones who do care and will apply and will reach for consciousness and will do the works and will meditate and will be mindful, those people will find inevitably, which is exactly what she said, the healing that they need. Always remember, the spiritual, if you heal the spirit, the body will improve. If you heal the body, it does nothing for the spirit. So we get that back. They've trained us to get that backwards. We got to fix what's wrong with our body. Well, wouldn't it be more important to fix what's wrong with your mind and your heart? Only if you have a spirit picture. This is going to end, friend. I may sit here one day and have a heart attack and fall over dead. I don't care. And I ain't trying to seek no death curse, because I ain't going to die 1 millisecond before Source intends for me to die. Do you not have that constant, that firmness, that constant inside of you yet? That nothing is going to happen to you that God hasn't allowed. And if today is the day that he has allowed me to be free, I'm ready to be free. And if that's tomorrow, and if that's 20 years from now, it's all irrelevant. Why are we scared of it? All right. Well, I'll get off on some other deep thing. I need to stop right there. I hope you guys will gain. I hope you will breathe in some of this that I've shared. There is much truth and much enlightenment in many of the things I said. Whether they're mainstream or not, I could care less. So, peace to each and every one of you. Shalom. I hope you are having a blessed week. I hope you are watching these, and I've talked to people, and there are people who are finding peace. My words don't offend them a bit. And there are other people, I'm sure, that are offended. It's okay. I mean, I'm not trying to offend anyone, but there are many people that will be offended whether you try to or don't. It just is a piece of who they are. I said this, and it's becoming more and more. One of the greatest lessons that we have to learn, and we live in a control state, okay? The United States is a place of control. You are either in control, under control, or out of control. But control is everything. And it's really hard to tell someone that's been controlled, it's really hard to tell them that you're free. You are now free to not have somebody else tell you how to behave. You're now free to behave properly because your brain is awake and you are conscious, and you, just as the other person, know what proper is. Do you see that? That's what this spirit thing does. What did she say? This is what I know inside of me, and love and peace and happiness, and this is what I'm going to do. Nothing's going to change that. She knows exactly where she's at. And so I think that what the Creator wants all of us to do is to have an opportunity to find that place. It's not going to happen with all of society just like it didn't in Yeshua's day. But you got to admit the fact that we're sitting here 2,000 years later must have done something in somebody's life. I hope 2,000 years from now they're playing my YouTube videos. The truth will be the same truth 2,000 years from now it is today, just like it was the same truth 2,000 years ago. Is there rightness? You bet there is. In fact, part of being conscious is that you can be righteous. Why? Because I know what right and wrong is. We live in a society now where most of the unconscious people can't tell you what right and wrong. I mean, it's right to go bash and burn cop cars that you paid taxes and all of the nonsense that's going on. But half of this country is so far from reality, there's no rightness in that. There's no rightness in these politicians. On the other side, there's some guys that have rightness. Right? It's not all bad, nor is it all good. It's good and bad. So, blessings to each and every one of you. I hope you have an amazing rest of your week. I hope you walk in power and in peace. And though you make some mistakes, I made some mistakes today, and I'm sad I did. I recognize it. I tried to make the amends necessary as best as I could. And you know what? I'm okay. We're going somewhere. The only question is where. Come to Heart Centers together, and we say to you, Namaste. Shalom.